G'day guys and gal. Sorry if I sound a bit stuffy today. It's spring now in Australia and the hay fever is killing me. Every day I learn more and more about Warhammer lore. Makes sense, it is my job after all. With learning comes understanding and new perspectives. One theme I've picked up on is that the more involved with chaos a character becomes, the lamer that character becomes. They could grow 10 horns, 3 cocks and 2 brains as a result of them fiddling hell's diddle, yet they will be half the character that they once were. Sure, evil characters can be a challenge to make interesting, as it's hard to relate to terrible people with mental health issues when we ourselves generally aren't that. However, there are plenty of examples of interesting and compelling evil characters, such as Darth Vader, or just evil characters that are fun, such as the Joker. There's very few full-blown chaos characters out there that are compelling or fun, and the ones that are fun or interesting fall more into the anti-hero grey area, or they just get killed off. Today we'll discuss a big issue that I, and maybe that you have with chaos in the setting of Warhammer and how Games Workshop could fix it. We'll do this by talking about characters that were once cool but got ruined by drinking the Chaos Kool-Aid. Then we'll look at characters that are chaos aligned and still quite fun and interesting before finally we'll talk about how we can improve them. Let's get into it. We all know Kharn the Betrayer, Avatar of Khorne and Raging Dickhead. Did you know he was once actually a pretty swell guy? Over the Great Crusade he had formed friendships with numerous chillers such as Garviel Loken, Sigismund and Argel Tal. He helped soothe Angron's rage and acted as a voice of honour and reason. It was his tenacity that made Angron realise that perhaps the World Eaters were worthy of him. I mean, in truth he wasn't worthy of the World Eaters, but don't let him hear you say that. He didn't lose these admirable traits when he turned against the Emperor or had nails put in his brain. He was still a tenacious man of honour. Now, he just had anger management issues. Peak Kharn was when he was friends with Argel Tal, a word bearer that despite having a demon inside him, was also a pretty chill guy. Kharn was angry and loved battle sure, but his rage was soothed by Argel and he was an interesting character. He made thoughtful and interesting observations of the World Eaters' relationship with their primarch, but then it all went to shit. Erebus, that dick, killed Argel, and despite that giving us one of the best moments in all of Warhammer 40k, which was Kharn beating the living shit out of Erebus, Argel's death rapidly descended into putting Kharn into a state of perpetual autistic screeching. Sure, he got stronger and he gained a bunch of plot armor, dying and coming back once or twice, if you consider surviving getting impaled during the Istvan atrocity to be a death, but he lost so much more. He went from an angry boy fighting against his nature to maintain his integrity, to a less memey version of Slime Marbo that somehow manages to yell more. In my opinion, Kharn has become a lesser character due to embracing chaos. Then you have the other side of the coin, Argel Tal, a character that was super corrupted and housed the demon. Was he evil? Yeah, sure. Was he an asshole? Debatable. He was disgusted by the over-the-top grim darkness that the word-bearers relished in, and he wanted to stop Kharn's descent into madness. Even Lorgar was like, man, this dude is a chiller. So what did Games Workshop do about this likeable, compelling character? They kill him off. Warhammer is all about there being no good guys, only varying degrees of bad, and maybe if they had more people like Argel and less mustache-twirling villains like 99% of Chaos, then people could buy more into that. Onto how the Primarchs fell. Many of the Primarchs were justified and even became better characters once they turned on the Emperor. I make a lot of jokes about Horus's fall being lame but initially it made sense. He did everything he could to suppress his ego and come across really humble, but given the power of Warmaster, this suppression led to resentment of the Emperor, and eventually his ego burst through. The Emperor also made it seem like the Space Marines and Primarchs were to be phased out in mankind's future, which was another compelling reason for Horus to turn against the Emperor, but by the time the Biggie fights Horus, Horus is just this big old demonic dick who commits war crimes for the laughs, like it's nothing, despite it being entirely unrelated to his initial justified reasons for turning against his father. Mortarion had a terrible fall. He hated Psykers and the Warp, so he joined the team full of Psykers and Warp creatures, before then becoming a Psyker himself. Like, what the fuck? If his fall had been more due to the Emperor being a Psyker and Morty disliking that, then sure, but that wasn't how it was. The current demon Magnus is lame as. He's so obsessed with getting revenge on the Space Wolves for what they did to him and his planet, despite the fact that he knows that he was attacked due to Titsnitch and Horus manipulating him. Magnus would be a way more compelling character if some of the shards of himself he collected and restored, and they were noble untainted parts of himself that were free of Titsnitch's claim. Then he could become a really interesting character with an internal battle between his chaos side and his noble side. As I covered in my Wordbearers video, Lorgar's fall and perception of chaos was actually quite interesting. It represented a chaos that could end up being making a moral compromise in exchange for enlightenment and power. That Lorgar is now gone. All that remains is a demon primarch that is slave to the evil that is chaos. There is a reason why the Traitor primarchs are slow to feature in Warhammer stories. They are no longer interesting or compelling characters, they're just boss characters. The still enjoyable Chaos-aligned characters are more renegade than anything. Fabius Bile is an atheist that denounces chaos and uses it as a tool. Ahriman, the avatar of Titsnitch, wishes to be free of Titsnitch's will, and is actively working to undo the rubric and the flesh change, two curses Titsnitch put upon the Thousand Sons. On the contrast, a character like Lucius, who just goes around raping and pillaging whilst being immune to death due to his bullshit Slaneshi buff, is a pretty unpleasant character, and we could all agree the fucker just needs to die violently. On the flip side, whenever a non-chaos character does something evil, it's a lot more impactful because they did it out of their own free will and volition. They didn't have to have some purple hoe with 3 cocks urging them to do it. This is also why most people prefer the Craftworld Elder over the Dark Elder. The Dark Elder are evil because they have to be to save their own lives and souls. So when they skin children alive, it's whatever because it's the Dark Elder. But when the Craftworld Elder do something like that, such as when Eldrad directed an Orc war into Armageddon, costing billions of humans of lives just to save a few thousand Elder ones, it hits you a lot harder. Doing an evil deed then attempting to justify it is a lot more compelling than just doing an evil deed just cause. If you're still unconvinced, who is your favourite Primarch? Sanguinius, a simultaneously perfect yet flawed man who feared his own darkness? Vulcan, a kind man who has a habit of incinerating people? Or is it Rogel Dawn, a compassionless yet resolute force to be reckoned with? I would say for the vast majority of you, it would be a loyalist, and if it is a traitor, think about your favourite moment of theirs, or moments. I can almost guarantee those moments will either be from their origins, Great Crusade, or initial stages of the Horus Heresy, not from when they became smelly moths or batshit insane suicidal fortune tellers. I recently read about some Plague Marines who had their connection to the Warp and Nurgle severed. They instantly were completely horrified at what they had become and died in agony. Now I'm not saying chaos should be good, it's obviously not good and it should twist you, but it shouldn't remove what makes a character good and replace that with repetitive chance and blind loyalty. Games Workshop need to take a small step back and really evaluate what their vision is for chaos. They say Kharn is the god of honor in combat, yet whenever I see a berserker appear, they're just an annoying dickhead whose vocal cord is about to snap. Make chaos a more compelling option. Give it an upside beyond becoming a fleshlight for demons. There is a reason why loyalist models sell well better than chaos ones do. After all, who the fuck can relate to a dude who has just replaced his kidneys with speakers? He does not look like he is having a good time. I mean, well, he actually is, but that's just because he's high as a kite. What are your thoughts on this? Is this something you've thought of before, or is this an entirely new opinion? If you agree or disagree, then let me know in the comments below what you like about chaos, or if you have more ideas on how chaos could be improved. And that does us for today, guys. The issue I have with chaos-aligned characters and how Games Workshop could go about making them more interesting. If you enjoyed the video and want to support the channel, then Patreon is the place to be. Only $1 gives you access to a boatload of Warhammer hentai. And also remember guys, the Majorkill minis are still available to sell. We've sold a good amount, but I reckon we can go more. So if you're looking to spice up your army, or just get something new to paint, or even a D&D character, then think about it. Hit the subscribe button, then hit the real subscribe button for more chaotic content. Join the Discord for more memes, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.